Keep your ears to the streets. We going ham on the beat. Collective energies with flow on Renada Soul, Renada Soul Show. SGR 81.5 The Heat. It's your girl. Great week. Last week was amazing. Juneteenth. I don't even know if I want to talk about it. A lot of crazy things have happened. It's a new week. It's a beautiful week. We're just going to start with the So, hey, y'all. Happy Thursday. So, listen, if you are out there and you have music and you want it played, you want a platform, say no more. I have the platform for you. If you are an artist, if you have a business, if you wrote a book, or you simply just want to talk, guess what? The Social Goats is waiting for you, as well as the Renata Soul Show. So let me feature your music. Let me feature you. So just go ahead and submit that email, like, follow, subscribe, and on all of our platforms under Social Goats. That's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, whatever the case. And follow me, Renata Soul. I'm on all platforms. Just send us an email, and we got you covered like a blanket. I have a special guest for you guys today. I don't know about you, but this is the year of finance. This is the year of getting my ish together, because I'm going to be real with y'all. Last year, was a learning year for me. So this year, I'm ready to put things into perspective. I'm trying to change the narrative, trying to get out of debt. I know we talk about it a lot. I talk about it a lot. I watch y'all talk about it. You might not be honest with me, but we talk about it a lot. So I brought a friend along that can actually help us and put us in the right place so that we can get that car or that dream house, or start that business, whatever the case may be. Guys, I'd like to welcome Mr. Dowayne Martin, which is our expert financial manager, to the platform. Welcome to the show, Mr. Martin.
Hey, good evening. Good evening. How you guys doing?
We're well. We're well. Thank you for being a part of the show.
All right. Thank you for
So
having me.
tell everyone, absolutely, tell everyone, where are you tapped in at?
I am tapping in from beautiful South Florida. I'm in Coral Springs, Fort Lauderdale area.
Nice. Do you have good weather today?
We did. It was actually pretty nice out there today. Might be a little hot for someone that's not from
Okay.
here, but for me, it was just the normal things.
Sounds like the dirty South to me. So, Mr. Martin, where are you? So, you're originally from Florida?
No, I'm actually originally from Jamaica. I came here when I was 10. Um, saw a different world, different way of looking at things, right? But yeah, America is a different place from Jamaica that I grew up
Absolutely.
in.
Absolutely. Okay, so coming from Jamaica, being in the United States, I know that you saw a big difference in finances and how money was used and how it was tangible. Can you tell us a little bit about that background to where it kind of leads you to where we are today?
Well, coming from where I came from, right? I was 10 years old. My mother worked at a plant called Money Mus in Jamaica, which
Okay.
to, that was a great job for her to have, and we had a half-acre lot, 2-bedroom house. It was her and myself, and then my little brother was just born at the time. Before we started coming up here, we
Okay.
left that, came to America, which was a lot faster, and it took a lot more to get things done. So now, from her having one job, she ended up with 3 jobs, right?
Mm,
Which meant that she was always out the house. And when I say house, I mean apartment, because we had a little apartment. It was a lot harder to make ends meet. So it was
okay.
completely different than what I was used to, even at 10, right? And so from that watching that struggle, that's something that I always knew that I didn't want to have for myself, right? And so
Right.
I grew up. you grow up, you want to be a kid, but you really didn't get to be that much of a kid because you had to be
Right.
responsible, taking care of your brothers and sisters while mom's
Right.
at work. So as soon
Right.
as I could leave that situation, I went to the military because I wanted to be free. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So went to the military, met my guy Calvin over there, who now introduced me to you. We've been brothers ever since that time, right? So while I was in the military, I got to realize one thing, right? You learn a lot about other cultures. You learn a lot about, the world in general, because see so many people from so many cultures in one place. But
Right.
I got to realize that I missed family, right? And I really wanted to be back where family was. So got out the military, came back, worked for a bank, right? And at that time, working for the bank, you realize, hey, here you are, you're working for the place that has all the money, but you're not really making any of the money,
The money.
right? And
Right.
so you you're there checking money into people's accounts. You see
Right.
millions of dollars in there, but
And you
none of
got
it's
five
coming to
in
you.
yours. Right.
And so right. So from there, I got a degree in electronics engineering. Right. So got to use my brain, build stuff, engineer things. So I worked with Bell South at the time, which now is AT&T, right? And I've been there for 25 years. But during that time, you now I grow my family as well. So now I have 7 children between my wife and myself, right?
Oh wow,
And
that's
so
amazing. That's a lot.
that's
Wow.
another dynamic of what's going on here. But yeah, and during that, now you realize, okay, well, I got a good job, you know, pays me great, takes care of everything, but now it consumes my time, all right? And that time now, when your kids are growing up and you're seeing different little pieces of yourself, and you want to be a part of everything they're doing, it's like, well, what do I do to regain some of that time so that I can give it to them, right? And so a lot of people at that point, they, look to start their own business, right?
Okay.
But sometimes you go to start your own business, you need a lot of money to do so,
Right.
right? But that's not always the case, right? If you just happen to be in the right place at the right time and somebody can introduce you to how the financial world works, right? You can actually start a business, start your a career here with absolutely nothing, right? And so just learning that information about finances and being able to put it to work for yourself and your family completely changes everything. So leading up to that, now here I am. I'm one of the senior managers in Experior Financial Group, and what I know about money now, the only thing I can always say is, man, I wish I knew this 20 years ago,
Right.
right? Because it's a different way of how money moves. You have the regular everyday stuff that everybody does: go to work, pay, trade their hours for money, right?
Okay.
Pay a bunch of taxes that they probably shouldn't have to pay, right?
Right.
And repeat the cycle over and over and over
Over
and
and
over and
over.
over again. And every year they end up moving the retirement goals for people. You ask somebody right now, when are you going to retire? They don't know. They have a clue,
Of
right?
course.
Because most
Of
people out here have absolutely no plan at all. They just go with the flow. Money comes from your check before you even get it. It goes away, and you hope that that money grows into something that you
Right.
can then retire off of at some point. But
Okay.
don't let something like the 2008 housing market happen. Now, how many people's plans got ruined because of that? You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but yeah, so understanding that and understanding how money moves, here I am now today, in front of you having an interview.
Okay. So let's dig into
Mhm.
this. Let's break this thing down. So we're going to talk
Okay.
for our young people first. So young,
Okay.
just getting out of college. So that means I still have a lot of debt. Haven't really found
Hmm.
that job that's going to get me out of this debt or to make a substantial payment for my loan. So what
Okay.
advice can we give to the young person? They may their job is maybe 20 or 30,000 average a year. But they know that they need a car. This is the average. Just need a house, an apartment, a car. I just need to manage until I'm able to get to where I'm going. So, what's the first step that we could, or advice that you can offer them with their finances?
The first step that I'm going to give to a young person is number one, learn how to pay yourself first, right? You
That's
don't have
good.
to
Ooh,
have
that's
a
good. Not
hundred
wait, hold
thousand
on. I'm sorry.
dollars.
Not just to the young people. We
Mhm.
gotta say this to the older people too. Say that again. That was good.
Learn
Learn
how to
to
pay
pay.
yourself first. All right.
Absolutely.
That is one of the most important things that we can learn, right? The next most important thing is time is infinitely more valuable than money, right?
Hmm.
Now, why do I say that? We always hear the statement, time is money, time is
Oh
money,
yes.
time is money. But time is infinitely more valuable than money, right? Because if you put time to work for you, time will then multiply your money, right?
Oh yeah.
If you wait until the end, like most people do, now I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, and I'm going, oh man, I got to get a plan built for retirement. Now, all of that time that could have been working for you is gone. So, as far as the young folks do, it doesn't matter how much you start at, whether you're saving $50, whether you're saving $100. Make that a priority rather than, hey, I had to go to the club and buy two drinks, right? If that club and the two drinks money is what's putting in your savings account, you're infinitely farther ahead than most people are, right? So that's the advice to that young person out of college. Yes, you got the credit card, the student loans and all of those things right there, but you can play with Uncle Sam and you can work on those, but start something for yourself in parallel while you're working on those things. At some point, that same thing that you started for yourself can come back and pay off those things and didn't leave your account. You see, we are
Okay.
used to regular savings accounts and stuff like that in the bank, right?
Right.
People think
Right.
that that's
That's
where you
what we
put your
used.
money for it to grow,
Right.
but it's absolutely not where you put your money for it to grow. All right, when you have money you put in a bank, that's for your emergency funds, your funds to pay your bills, things like that. But you have to have someplace else that you're putting your money for it to grow. Now, what's the traditional ways that everybody um, protect their money or grow their money? What do you have? You're a independent worker out here. What do you have for yourself as far as
So
your
right now,
finances go?
I'm invested in stocks.
You're in the
So
stocks, right? So
I'm in stocks.
so you're riding that roller coaster. You like going to the theme park,
I
right?
have anxiety so
Because
desperately because of it. But yes, yes, yes,
right,
yes.
but for 95% of America, do we know any other way? We just know those ways. We know the stocks, the
Correct.
IRAs, the 401ks, the mutual funds. That's what they know. That's what's advertised. So that's what they take part in. But they
Correct.
don't know that there's another avenue out here to do it. Because while you're invested in the stocks, right, what do you do during the day?
In the daytime.
Are you day
So as
trading?
far as no, I'm not day trading. I
You're
tried
not.
that.
So who's
Just being
managing your
honest.
stocks?
I tried that and I got so
Hmm.
overwhelmed. That blew me completely. I was not ready for that. So
Yes.
I'm being honest. I'm being very transparent. I'm the basic. I put it in the stock. I'll check on it, let it grow. It'll send me Fidelity. Will send me an email, or I'll check on it from there. But I'm new to this, so I'm getting information from you. So you helping me too.
See, Fidelity and those guys, they are, doesn't matter which one, Fidelity, Robinhood, wherever you go, right? So every time you want to make a trade with a stock, what do you have to do? You have to make a transaction, right?
Correct.
But nobody's giving you a master class on how stock trading
Correct.
works. And
Correct.
they don't care if you know or not know how stock trading works, as long as every time you go to move that stock, you pay them a fee. A transactional fee just occurred, right? And every once in a while they say, ooh, trades for only 99 cents, right? They make you feel like it's
Right.
great that I'm only paying 99 cents to move my money. It's my money. Why should I have to pay to move it, right?
Right. Right.
You are already earning money on my money that's sitting in your facility, right? I only have it digitally on my phone, right? I don't have it. You have it. But you still charge me every time I go to do something with my money. Why is that the case? right? And then let's say you were in the affluent side of America, right? And now you had some accounts with Edward Jones or some of those other big guys that's out there, right? Now the guys comes to you and they say, hey, we're doing your yearly account review, and you could have lost 30% this year, but you only lost 14%,
Hmm.
right? So and they feel good that they can tell you that you only lost 14%. Meanwhile, they were supposed to be managing your money. So if you're managing it, why am I losing? All
Right.
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 So what if you as an individual could have an account that never went negative?
Okay.
It only went positive when the markets go positive, right? When the
Okay.
markets go negative and lose, you just watch it fall off the cliff and you stay up without going down. Did you even know
Right.
that something like that existed?
No.
Did you even know that something like that existed? We didn't, right?
No.
That's
No.
how I
No.
felt when I first saw this and I saw what was out there. I was upset, right? I mean, that night I didn't sleep. Come to find out
Because how
that
are you
my
supposed to
wife,
know this information? They're not giving it to us, right? So this is something that we
they're
would
not
have
going to
to be
give it to
looking
you.
for. Right.
And that is by design, all right? It's by design that it's not put out there. But actually, let me put it this way. It is out there, but only if you've already known the keywords of what you're looking for. If you don't know it,
Keywords. So
it's just
teach
some other
us.
noise that's passing, right? So
Okay.
that's what the regular world is like. So through an insurance company, when you think of insurance, what's the first word that comes to your mind?
I think of life. I think of auto, car, a high bill.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think of
Okay,
after
well,
death.
let me go another way. If I say life insurance, what do you think?
I think of payout. I think an investment.
Payouts because of death, right?
Correct.
Right? Now,
Correct.
that's what most people think. When they hear life insurance, they think death. But life insurance is way more advanced than that, right? Life insurance is a tool, and it actually is for life if you are in the right plans. Now, there's many different life insurances out there. They all have a purpose. They, all solve things, but they don't fit everybody. Everybody
Okay.
needs a different product, right? And so
Right.
when you sit and you work with someone, now I can see what it is that Renata needs. All right. Now, once I understand what you need, I am not a captive agent, right? So let's say if I was somebody that was in State Farm, I work for State Farm, all right? That means I'm captive. I can only work with State Farm products because
Okay.
that they hold my license captive.
Okay.
But everybody doesn't need a State Farm product, right?
Okay.
So what happens when my client needs another product? Then I'm working for sale, then I can't give it to them. So
You have
I'm
to
what you
look for
call an
them.
independent agent, right? So I
Okay.
now have access. This is where Experior Financial comes in. Through Experior Financial, I have access to all of the carriers that's out there, right? So, well, over 75 different carriers we have access to. And now I can go through those carriers and pick one and say, hey, this matches what my client needs. Now I can make this client happy, this client happy, this client happy, because now I can provide them whatever it needs. So the Amazon of financial services is what we get to partake in on this side, right?
Can I
So
can I can I
what's for
dive
you? Yeah. Hmm.
can we dive into that a little deeper about the
Okay.
life insurance, because
Sure.
I know a lot of people didn't
Hmm.
know that. I didn't know that. So
Hmm.
I'm 45. So
Okay.
had I known about this, I'm sure in my 20s,
Hmm.
how could I have used that for my benefit now being 45? Life
Well,
insurance, because
you could
you
still
said
use it
it's
at 45, but let's say you're in your 20s, right? And
okay.
now I'm meeting with you. First of all, you have an insurable need, right? What is it that you need to cover, right? God
Okay.
forbid Renata wasn't here tomorrow.
Okay.
how much does she want to have? Does she need to pay off the house? Does she need to pay off the cars? We find out what that insurable need is, right? And now
Right.
we're going to come up with a plan to cover that. But we're not only going to just cover that, we're also going to say, hey, Renata wants to have X amount of money coming to her in retirement, and she wants to retire at 55, right? She
Right.
doesn't want to wait till 65, 70, or any of that foolishness that's going on out there now, because we're programmed to think that 67 is retirement age. No, retirement age should be when you want it to be if you can build a plan to get there, right?
Okay.
And so now I'm going to bring you a tool, right? Not just the insurance policy, a tool. And we're going to put a few things inside of it. One, we're going to have that coverage that you need, right?
Okay.
Now, once we got that coverage, picture this insurance policy as if it was a candy bar. All right. You went to Walmart and you're going to go pick up a candy bar. They had four on the shelf, and one of them had no wrapper on it. Are you going to pick up that one?
No. No.
No, right? So
Right.
that insurance is the wrapper on this candy bar that we're about to build, right?
Okay.
That's the basic part of the insurance. Now, that insurance gives you access to a certain tax code out there, IRS tax code 7702, that says that you can now, based on the rules of this policy that we're going to build, you can put this much money into it. So let's say, for giggles, the insurance policy that we built you was going to cost you $100, right?
Okay.
Then it's going to give you some rules. Okay, based on how old Renata is, she's 22 at this point
Okay.
in time, right? She's getting, let's say she's getting $300,000 in coverage, right? Now at 22, $300,000, they'll come out and say, well, you can put $9,000 into this policy every year without doing what's called a MEC, a modified endowment contract, right? So
Okay.
this policy is showcasing itself as an insurance policy. You're using it as a retirement vehicle. You're going to now use it to do what's called mirroring the index, right? So you're going to get returns from this index in your account only when the index is positive. When the index is negative, you just sit back and watch it be negative, but you didn't lose anything of your money. Index
Okay.
mirroring can only be achieved through an insurance company, right? And so the policy costs you $100, that's $1,200, but you're putting $9,000 into it. Everything above the $1,200 goes towards bringing you the returns in that account. You follow me so far?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But we also need to add some long-term care coverage, right? Because God forbid you walk out there tomorrow and somebody hit you. You didn't die, but you couldn't go to work. You still got bills to pay. So now you can put that as a rider on your policy. And 22 years old, it probably costs you about $8 to add that on your policy. And now something happens to you, you can get 2% of that paid back to you every month. You get $6,000 coming back to you just off of the way you built that policy, coming back to you during the time you needed it for recovery. You couldn't do 2 out of the
Wow.
6 daily functions of living. That's
Wow.
living benefits
The
attached to
true
your policy. So now
definition.
you have a Swiss Army knife of a tool, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So now we're building this policy. This policy is growing. You're funding it $9,000 into it. By the time you get to 55, right, you probably have more than $1 million in that account, even if you were only earning 6%, right?
Wow.
Those accounts earn historically more than that, but we build them at a bare minimum so that once you achieve everything above, yeah, we under promise and over deliver, right? But that's when the real magic happens in that account, right? Now
Okay.
I have $1 million in that account. I can now, let's say I'm taking 10%, that's $100,000. Doesn't count as income. It's tax free because it's not income, all right? And my account still has $1 million in it. The money will never come from my account. My account will continue to compound and grow, and I keep drawing 10%. That means next year I might have 110,000, 115,000 as my income, continuing on. People don't know these things exist out there. So this is what
Sure.
I teach, right? But let's take it a step further. What if I could keep that 24-year-old from ever having that college debt in the first place?
Okay.
Wouldn't that be better? Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
what does the system what does the system tell you that you should do to prepare your child for college?
The system is telling me as a parent to get so many
Hmm.
jobs to put myself in debt so that my child doesn't go in debt. If they can get a
Hmm.
student loan where it's free, we try to do that. But 9 times out of 10, we're getting them the college loans, the FAFSA. We're taking on extra loans ourselves. We're doing everything that we
Hmm.
can to make the load a little lighter for them. But it's making it heavy because
Right.
it's heavy for us as a parent.
Right. So that's that parent that didn't from the child was born, they didn't say, hey, you know what? I need to start a plan that's going
Of
through. So
course. So
now here we
we're
are
talking to the
at
average,
15,
right? We're
16,
talking to the average
17,
people.
the average person, right? When they're in
Right,
high school, that's when they're saying, man, how are we going to pay for college, right?
right,
But with everything, as if you put time to work for you, then it makes the load a lot lighter, right? So,
right.
excuse me, for most people that are, doing it, they have some type of 529 plan or something like that, right? That
Okay.
they've started when the child was young, they paid into it, and now the child goes to school and they say, hey, college in 18 years is going to cost you this much. You'll get to secure the price of, what it is now when you're building this plan. So your kids go to college, they didn't pay for anything, and you don't have any debt, but they don't have any money from it either, right?
Right.
What if the same plan that I was telling you about just now, we built it on your child when they were one, right? The same
Oh,
money
wow.
that you were going to put into that college plan, now your child has life insurance. God forbid something happens, right? You can't replace the child, but that'll help, do some things around the house if you get some money coming back from that, right? That's the
Right.
last thing we're going to use it for. But now you've been growing that same money in there without taking any market losses, and now you control the money rather than the state controlling the money that you never get back. All right, and your child is
Wow.
now have if, with the one for the state, they had to go to a specific state sponsored school. All right, what if
Okay.
they
Right. Right.
wanted to become a chef, or what if they wanted to start their own business or do something else? They want to go abroad to Europe to go study. Will that state plan pay for it? No, it won't. It's not a qualified plan. But the one you built grew up, it had all the cash in there. You could pay for a trip to Europe. You could pay for whatever you wanted to pay for because it's your funds. You could do it how you want to. But everything that you paid for didn't come from your account. It stayed in your account. It continued to earn, right?
Okay.
So now they went through school. You guys paid for the school. The money's still growing up. You bought them a car, probably put a down payment on a house. And then by the time they were 60, they had still had over $1 million in that account from what you paid from 1 to 18. And that's it, right? That's it.
Okay.
Completely different way that your money worked for you because you knew how to implement a
That's it.
plan.
Right.
Somebody told you and taught you the right way, right?
Right.
And so it's just who you know and what you know
Yep.
at all times. Who you know and what you know.
I
And
hear that
if
a
you
lot in
sit
life.
down with the right professional financial advisor, then you're going to get some information. And that's why the rich get richer all the time because they're the ones that's sitting down with the financial planners and paying $500 an hour to do so. But we didn't want the business to be catered just for the wealthy. We want to be able to help anyone, whether it's a mom that's on Section 8 trying to understand the word money, period, trying to make the most money, trying to maximize the use of her credit cards. We can now teach her how to get out of debt with those credit cards, right? How to pay them in the proper order to get rid of the debt without spending the most in interest, because that's what keeps people down all the time. That's where the banks make their money. Do you know
So can we?
that
I'm sorry.
banks? Okay, go ahead. Hmm.
I was gonna say
Oh,
for the mothers, before you make your point, but go ahead
hmm,
and make your point, and I'll go back.
hmm.
The banks what?
No, I was going to say, do you know that banks have some of the largest amounts of cash inside of life insurance? It's called BOLI,
Oh yes.
bank-owned life insurance,
Oh
right?
yes. Oh
So
yes.
the building down the street has life insurance on it. Is the building alive? No, it does. It's not alive, but they use it to get those returns back to the bank. Meanwhile, they're paying you what 2% on a CD, 3% on a CD if you got a great bank, right?
Right.
And so why not skip the bank and become the bank yourself?
Okay. That's true.
Hmm.
So we just gave
Hmm.
tips
Now,
for our young people.
hmm,
And
hmm,
I want them to get it. I don't want them to be like some of us. I had to hit it the hard way before I was able to see the light. So let's jump over and talk
hmm,
to our average moms and dads that really are just barely making it by with a
hmm.
savings account with the bare minimum. I mean, let's just keep it real. They have a lot of bills. Maybe kids are in college or just grown, but they don't have a lot of assets, not a lot of money in a savings
Hmm.
account, not really a lot of money to play with. So, what tips can you give them that they're wanting to start now for a little financial freedom in a few years? What tips can you give for them?
So, so I'm gonna keep it real on that, right? So you have two reasons why that's the case, where there's not a lot of money and not a lot of finances. It's
Okay,
either one, we don't have the proper amount of money coming in, right? We got to
right.
upgrade what we do for a living, right? And to
Mm-hmm.
upgrade what we do for a living doesn't mean you have to go get another degree, right?
Right.
If you're a banker, if you're a radio show host, if you're an electronic technician, it doesn't matter what you are. If we're part of society, we need to have money and food, right? To be a part of
Right.
it. So, what if you learn to become the person that knows how the money moves? What if you said, hey, you know what? I'm going to understand the money. So all of those people, the doctors, the lawyers, and everyone has to come to me because those guys, a doctor knows how to do brain surgery. He doesn't understand his finances, right? What if
Right.
you understood the finances? So for someone that needs more income in the house, I would say, hey, don't be afraid to look into uh, rehoning yourself, right? To learn another trade, to say, hey, let me go and learn something that's necessary because entrepreneurship is one of the big things that's out here now. We have so many tools. Like YouTube can teach us and show us anything,
Everything.
right? The Google can teach us and show us anything. So take that initiative to say, hey, I'm going to upgrade this. It's time for me to change that, right? Then you have it the other way around. Somebody is making a bunch of money, but as soon as they make it, it goes out
Right.
the other side, right? So doesn't make them any different than somebody that's not making a bunch of money, right? Because they don't have it anyway. It goes right in and goes right out. So now for that person, it's got to say, hey, are you willing to take a real look at the finances and really trim the fat, right? And now all of
Okay.
the fat, all of the waste that you're doing out here, now we can take that waste and build the right type of plan for you because it really is never too late to start something, right? It's just
Okay.
the later you start, the more you have to pay to get it done. So you take the advice and you say, hey, I really need to look at this. We at Experior, we have what you call an expert financial needs analysis, right?
Okay.
And the first thing we're going to do when we sit down with a client is we're going to plug all of the numbers in. And where we run into that, our culture run into the problem there is that we're not completely honest about what we're putting into that form, right? We don't tell everything because we're too embarrassed at how bad the finances are. Don't be embarrassed, okay? It's only for your benefit. Fill out the doggone form, get all of the information in there, right? Because the more accurate you make it, the better the recommendations can be for you, the
Okay.
better a plan that can be built. And when that plan is built, then you say, hey, I'm going to stick to this plan no matter what, because the plan was made to take me to a place, right? And it's made at a minimum. So that means I could possibly get to that place earlier. I just have to stick to my plan. But at least you have a
Okay.
plan now where you didn't have one before at all, right? You have a lot of folks out there that retire from one job and then what are they doing? They're working at Walmart, they're greeting, they're doing something else, right? Yeah, I'm
Right.
retired, but I'm working. Then no, you're not retired. You're not retired,
Yes,
because
yes,
what happens is you have to continue to work. The retirement money that you thought you had is not going to make it last for you, right? And so those things. So now let's say you retired from someplace, you just couldn't work anymore. Let's say you had $400,000 in the bank, right? For the average person out here, I can't keep that money in the variable roller coaster market because, God forbid, a 2008 or a COVID situation happens and the markets tank, or even now here we are in a war, right? And the markets are falling. You can't risk losing a dime from that $400,000.
right,
So what do? Right? If you go to the bank, they're going to want you to put it in a CD and lock it up, right? Which you need it to live, so you can't do that. So you got to put it in some type of high yield savings account, which is giving you simple interest. That's why you hear the term the 4% rule that people live by. But it's somewhere
okay.
safe. You're making 4%. You're living off of 4%, right? And then you could, but really you got $400,000. You can't live off of 4%, right? So that means you're scrounging to get by. But what if now you had a plan where you could take that 400,000, you can roll it into it. They gave you a 30% bonus for rolling that 401k balance into that plan. And now you can set it up to where you have the ability to draw $40,000 a year, $30,000 a year from that plan. You know it's coming, regardless of what, and you know you're not going to run out of money.
Okay.
Isn't that a better deal than where you had before?
Of course.
Right?
Always. Always.
So now these are the things that you have access to if somebody sits down and build that plan for you and be able to help you. So all
So
of
in
these
order
things are
to
available. Most folks
so in
don't know.
order to get someone to break this plan down, we would need to find
Hmm.
a financial expert. Because or
Well,
this is information that we YouTube. So how can we get to this point to get this
well,
information that
you're never
makes
going to really
everything?
YouTube it, right? You're
Okay.
definitely going to need a financial professional to sit down with you. Problem
Okay.
is, most of them out there is going to charge you a bunch of money to sit down and do it, right? And so,
Okay.
like I said, here at Experior, and we make sure that when we build these plans, we don't charge anybody anything. Once out of all of those companies that we have, when we find the right person that's going to work for this client, when we partner them with that carrier, then that carrier pays us. The client never has to pay us a dime.
Okay.
Matter of fact, in most instances, especially in a situation like what I just mentioned, the client gets a bonus for bringing their money over to them.
Oh,
So they get a bonus, we get paid, and the carrier's happy all at the same time. Everybody's happy. All right. And so
that's
that's
beautiful.
the way that financial services should be, an education based, because I'm not just going to throw you in a plan. I'm about to educate you on how these plans work, because I can't just give you a Swiss Army knife with no instruction manual and expect you to know what the little spiral thing is for, what this is for, what
Exactly.
that's for. It's so many
Exactly.
different parts and pieces to it. I ask people all the time, "You have insurance coverage?" Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have a policy. Oh yeah, what's in it? I don't know. It's in an envelope over there. I've never opened it. So you don't know what you can do with it. You don't know if it benefits you while you're alive. You don't know anything about it. I have people that tells me,
And
"Hey, I
that's
have had a
true.
plan that."
And that's true. That's
Mhm,
the typical person. We sign up for insurance. We're not reading the dotted lines. We're going by what
mhm.
they say that it's golden in. Literally, we put that. So that is your average people, and we put that paperwork to the side, and we don't look for
Mhm.
it again until something happens.
Right. So that
So
education piece
what
is very,
what you're
very valuable.
advising.
Mhm,
Absolutely. So what you're advising and what is
mhm.
imperative sounds like that we need to partner with you or more people like you to be our buddies through this thing called life to help us with the financial literacy of this thing.
That is correct.
So how
Right.
can we get in
Seek
touch with
knowledge.
you and your company?
You can get in touch with me. My email is dmartin at experiorfinancialgroup.com. Right. That's one of my emails here. My phone number is 954-639-2857. So in either one of those places, you can reach me. We can set up a way for us to get down a Zoom and talk, right? So before financial services, we had to sit in an office, go to a house, meet a client, but COVID happened, and then people were okay with, hey, you're in Louisiana, I'm here in Florida, and we're doing a Zoom right now, or a video production right now. Same thing we do with our clients. We meet
Right.
clients all over the country like that. So we're licensed all over the country to be able to work with clients in many different states. Now we can do 9 appointments in a day and didn't put a mile on our cars. All right. And so that makes it much easier to get things done. So yeah, we definitely, for each client, did I even finish? Oh yeah, I finished the baby one when I was telling you, build it from the beginning, right? So build your
Okay.
plans all the way from the beginning, all the way out. Make a plan for everything, not just, hey, I got to retire. Oh, I need life. No, make it for everything. Cover everything, because let's get to the other part of it. So let's say you've done the right thing. You built those plans, right? And now you go get to the end, you pass on, you had, I don't know, $4 million because you did everything right. And now you have 3 kids and you're just going to pass that money to those 3 kids. What's going to happen to that money?
It's gonna sit.
Hmm? No, when you pass it to those kids, oh no, they're going to spend that money.
Some. I mean, you're right. Some it may sit. Some will be spent. Some will be paid for bills. I guess it just depends on the dynamic of the family. Some people will argue over it. So I mean, we're talking to the
So,
average people out here. I've seen you. I'm sure you've seen
mhm.
a lot.
Well,
Depends
I'm
on the
telling you,
right kid. It will be spent right.
to the average people, they're going to spend that money, all right? That's what's going to
Right.
happen. Lifestyles will be upgraded. They didn't understand what it took to make that money, so they don't understand what it takes to keep that money. Yes, you're always going to have the exceptions to the rules, but for the most part, the lottery syndrome always rings true. All right. So, case in point, you've heard of the Rockefellers, right?
Of course.
You've heard of the Vanderbilts, right?
Yes.
Now, the Vanderbilts and Rockefellers were the two richest families back then. Now the
Word.
Rockefellers are still amazingly rich, but the
Correct.
Vanderbilts, they only have Vanderbilt University to their name. They've squandered all of the money because
Right.
the Rockefellers used trusts and life insurance to continue
You
to
too.
fund
Yeah.
their heirs, right? Continue to fund their heirs. As soon as they're born, a policy is built on them. The term trust fund babies, they have money that from their 18, they're millionaires, right? Goes through
Correct.
life, living how they want to live, because as long as they follow the rules of the Rockefeller Trust, right? When they
Right.
pass, it doesn't pass back to their children. The money passed back to the trust, right?
Right.
And the trust funds it over and over again. But to access the trust, the kids have to go to college. They have to learn this. They have to learn that. They have to walk a certain way through life. But if I didn't have to learn any of those things and I just got a bunch of money, that means I don't know how to protect that money. I don't know how to multiply that money. So I'm just going to spend that money. That's a
Right.
syndrome that happens. So, on top of being able to do the right things to be able to grow our funds and be able to pass on the money, we have to know how to pass it on, right? So that's where having the right trust comes into place to be able to grow that legacy, right? Because if I
Right.
ask you, Renat, do you know your great 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 grandfather?
Do I know my great great? No.
No,
I
I
would
don't know
I would
mine,
have to say no.
right? But
Right.
guess what? If great 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 grandfather left $5 million
I would know
to the
him then.
family,
Yes. I would
great
we would
great
know his whole
grandfather would have
story.
a picture over the exactly. You have a picture in the family room hanging up there. Great great
We
grandfather made
better
all of
know
this happen.
him.
You understand? So when you have the right things in place, generations will know what it is, and generations changes the name of the people, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
that's the stuff that we need to implement in our lives, right? And it
Right.
starts. Everybody doesn't have to start rich. starts with the simplest understanding of money. All right. The rule of 72. You ever heard of it?
I have not.
Right. Well, Albert Einstein created that rule of 72. How long has it been since that guy's been dead?
I mean, I'm gonna say it's been quite a while. I mean, not even
It's been quite a
not
while,
in my
right?
century. Yeah, I don't think he was here when I was here.
Exactly. So the rule of 72 is a really simple rule, right? Whatever interest rate you're getting from your financial institution, take it and divide it into the number 72, and it'll tell you how many years it's going to take your money to double,
Ooh,
right? So if you put $100,000 in a bank and they tell you they're going to give you 2% return on that money, then you can 72 divided by 2 every 36 years. So it's going to take you 36 years to make another $100,000 on that money, right?
wow,
And
wow,
that's not counting that you have to pay taxes on the interest earned every year. But that's another thing. We're just talking straight dollar for dollar, right?
right,
But
right,
what if you're getting 10% on that money?
right.
Every 7.2 years, that money is doubling without you putting another dime onto it. That's a drastic difference,
I'm
right?
gonna have to cut you. I'm gonna have to cut you because you really going into something deep, deep, and that's about my time on the show. I need like a part two. So again, tell us
Hmm.
to keep going further with you because you're giving us great information. How can we
Hmm.
reach you again so that we can pick back up on where we left off?
So to reach me, D Martin at experiorfinancialgroup.com. You can reach me there. My phone number 954-639-2857. We can schedule a call and have a sit down and really chop it up and go through whatever it is that each individual needs, because everybody needs something different, right? But
Absolutely, absolutely. You want to give a shout out to anyone?
I'm gonna give a shout out to Calvin for making all of
Hey,
this happen,
Calvin.
right? And definitely a shout out to my wife for handling all these 7 kids and doing it right now. My daughter, give a shout out to her too. All right. Her Sweet 16 is Saturday, so there's a whole lot going on around us right now that's
Happy birthday,
going to get
beautiful.
this thing done. And my wife is doing
Absolutely.
her thing, getting that done.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get you on for a second part because this was amazing. I thank you for being a part of this show. Thank you for all the information, guys. I'm gonna take a pause for the calls because I can do that. But first, before I do, I have some music from Joseph Glover. It's titled "Gravity" right here at Social Goats.
Oh my, told my don't love me. Told my don't love me. Told my don't love me. Told my don't love me casually. Every day is a fatality out here. And I don't wanna see you go halfway, halfway, halfway. I really need you to turn it up for me, babe. Mama said the streets was bad for me. In the street. Real nigga in the street, cause every day a payday. Let me find out you had asked for me. Talking down on my name, that should be blasphemy. Shit heavy like gravity. Real big vibe, pressure reply. Doing about 100, getting brain in the right. Oh my, I told my don't love me. She already failed, now it's above me. I told her let's keep it looking good. We know we can get ugly, and we ain't no demon time. My little baby is savage. Scratches on my back when we and then I'm back hustling. They say money the root of all evil. It just bring out the evil in people. I grind it out cause I need it. There's no joke if you broke, take that up with Jesus. Amen. It's always a Judas. These gon' envy. I'm clutching my heater. I took a good girl and turned her a eater. She got foreign features. Even more off the meter. Peas of that colorful reefer. I'm living la vida. My bars is too lethal. I'm lapping my competition. Just subtract them. They never equal. Divide that. Need a whole damn meal, not a light snack. Punching on the beat, not a need an ice pack. Dropping banger after banger. I'ma slide back. I'ma anchor, hold it down where it's live at. always. Ain't nothing gonna stop us from turning it up this year. Don't love me casually. Every day is a fatality out here. Damn. And I don't wanna see you go halfway, halfway, halfway. Don't go halfway. I really need you to turn it up for me, babe. Mama said the streets was bad for me. In the street. Real in the street, cause every day a payday. Let me find out you had asked for me. Talking down on my name, that should be blasphemy. Shit heavy like gravity. Real big vibe, pressure reply. Doing about 100, getting brain in the right. Oh my, I told my don't love me. She already found out what's above me.
SGR 81.4, the heat. It's your girl, Renata Soul. That was Joseph Glover with Gravity. So listen, if you're an artist and you want your track played just like that, Renata Soul 1 at gmail.com, and I got you covered like a blanket. We're going to blaze on over to my girl, Veronica Blaze, with some mental health tidbits, because I know y'all need saving. I do as well. Veronica, what you got, girl?
Good evening, good people. Thank you, Mr. Martin, for all of that wonderful information on how to be financially stable, even as a infant. He gave us information on how to get our infants, our newborns, set up for financial stability and their future. So today we're going to discuss how and when money affects our mind. At some point, all of us as adults are affected by our financial instability or financial stresses. There is the universal anxiety and, of course, depression of being overwhelmed or just not being able to figure out where our next our money is going to be coming from for that next bill that's due next month, whether it's due to a lack of a job or piling up debt. That's that debt that is piling up, or if we're dealing with college tuition, as we spoke about in the previous segment. There's always those stresses and those feelings of depression, feeling of being helpless and hopelessness that we face. Two other areas where finances impact us in our mental health are relationships and marriages, as well as the family dynamics. And again, those areas are not in any particular order. Don't ever think that, well, it's not happening to me this way, so there are not any financial issues, or I don't have any mental health concerns. If you're failing to sleep at night, or if you're sleeping too much, those can be issues that are concerning, and you just need to take time to tackle what your issue is. And a lot of times that is the issue, is not being able to pinpoint where I'm having issues, where I'm having concerns. So if you're facing financial stresses, I would suggest to do as Mr. Martin stated, which was to take your tools and utilize those. We don't necessarily know where that is because we're not generally taught those things as young adults, but when you know better, you do better. So I would say our challenge for this week is to tackle your finances, non-judgmental, not feeling guilty, because they're your finances, they're your choices. Sometimes they're not, sometimes they're things that were out of your control, but you still have to make a decision to take charge of your finances. Take your pen, your paper, even if it's in the middle of the night when you cannot sleep, and write down all of your finances, what's coming in and what's going out, and figure out a plan for your finances. you're in charge. Your worth is not necessarily in your wallet. However, that does affect your self-esteem if you don't have the money that's necessary to live from day to day. So I would ask you all to take your time this week and tap into your finances, tap into the tools that you have in the community. We have different, Capital One has a organization, has a department that helps the community with financial stresses and how to manage your money. I would ask that you tap into those and just tap into your mental health every single day. Self-care is good. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Veronica. So tap in is what she's saying. Tap into yourself, pay yourself. Guys, at the end of the day, always look out for you. Life gonna be lifing, and people are gonna be people. But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you're straight. You have to make sure that you're fed. You have to make sure that you're nourished and you're taken care of, and that your finances are always in order. That is always my plan for you guys, is to always check yourself first and have self accountability. If you guys want to be a guest on the next show, again, if you have music, just submit that to Renada Soul, the number one, at gmail.com. I got you covered like a blanket. As always, with Miss Veronica Blaze here as our mental health specialist. We hope you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.